The chamber of the Galactic Council was designed to humble any who entered it. Rising tiers of crystalline seats formed concentric rings around a vast circular floor. Towering alien delegates filled their thrones, scaled giants with molten eyes, insected queens encased in chitinous shells, translucent beings pulsing with inner light. Above them floated banners of empires older than Earth's first civilizations. Every sound echoed in the immense space, magnified until it seemed to come from the bones of the hall itself. When General Marcus Hale walked into that arena, silence spread like a wave. His boots struck the polished stone with deliberate weight. He wore the dark uniform of the United Terran Defense Fleet, the collar frayed from long use, medals absent by choice. Faint scars traced the left side of his face, souvenirs from New Avalon's bombardment. He carried no weapon, no retinue, only a single object wrapped in scorched cloth. The council speaker, a floating sphere of golden filaments, intoned, "Human delegation, you stand accused of unlawful expansion and violence against sovereign worlds. Present your defense if you claim one exists." Hale said nothing. He strode to the center dais, unwrapped the bundle, and with a sharp movement slammed a slab of blackened steel onto the crystalline floor. The impact rang through the chamber like a gunshot. Delegates recoiled, antennae twitching, mandibles clicking, crystalline bodies resonating with unease. The speaker's glow flickered in protest. Hale's voice carried, unamplified, rough as gravel but steady. "You sit here in judgment of us," he said, "after you attacked our home?" For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then the chamber erupted. Shrieks, hisses, metallic howls, translated fragments overlapping, blasphemy. Human deceit! Impossible! High Chancellor Valon of the Zorati Dominion rose with practiced elegance. His crystalline body caught the chamber's light and fractured it into cold rainbows. When he spoke, it was like glass grinding on stone. An outrageous fabrication. Humanity, reckless and greedy, reached beyond its bounds and provoked retaliation. The Zorati Dominion acted only to defend sacred borders. Do not let these primitives rewrite truth. Hale met the Chancellor's glare without blinking. Borders? New Avalon was a registered colony. Agricultural. Civilian. Your fleets burned it from orbit. You call that defense? He gestured to the charred steel at his feet. This was plating from a children's shelter. I cut it free with my own hands while I dug survivors out of the rubble. Don't speak to me of defense, Chancellor. Call it what it was, slaughter. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. A delegate with silken tendrils like drifting seaweed leaned toward its neighbor, whispering too loudly. He brings relics of corpses into sacred halls, barbaric. Hale ignored them. His gaze swept the chamber, meeting as many alien eyes as he could. You want to paint us as aggressors. But every scan, every transmission I brought tells another story. Look! He activated a wrist device. Holograms sprang into the air, grainy orbital scans of Zorati warships descending on New Avalon, intercepts of their command orders authorizing bombardment, civilian distress calls cut off mid-scream. The chamber's uproar quieted into uneasy silence as the images played. New Avalon was no fortress. No armada. No threat, Hale said. It was a home. And you tried to erase it. Valon's crystal limbs clicked sharply against the floor as he stepped forward. Human trickery. Manufactured evidence, nothing more. You are a young species drunk on your own aggression. The Council has tolerated your trespasses too long. His voice rose, resonant and commanding. I move that humanity be declared rogue. That their fleets be dismantled. That their colonies be exterminated? Hale cut in. His tone was quiet, but the word hung heavy in the chamber. You cloak it in council procedure, but we know what you mean. The council speaker pulsed uneasily. General Hale, restrain your accusations. The Dominion has long served itself. Hale snapped. You claim neutrality, yet you sanctioned the strike. Don't deny it. He triggered another projection. A council authorization order glowed above the dais, stamped with the Dominion's seal. The characters were alien, but the translation node rendered them clear, approved. Execute planetary cleansing. Gasps and exclamations thundered through the chamber. Some delegates recoiled as though burned. Others shouted in denial. Vaylon's crystalline body flared with sudden light, an involuntary display of fury. Forgery! He bellowed. A desperate ploy from vermin who cannot accept their fate. Hale's jaw tightened, but his voice remained calm. You think because humanity is young, we're easy prey. You think because we bleed, we'll bow. But you miscalculated. He stepped closer to the council's center, his shadow long under the dome's light. We are not here to beg for survival. We are not here to plead for mercy. We came to remind you of something every tyrant forgets. He pointed to the blackened steel at his feet. This is what you did to us. And still, we stand. The hall fell into a stunned silence. Even the translation nodes seemed to hesitate, reluctant to break the weight of his words. Vaylon's voice, when it returned, was sharp with fury. You dare accuse the Dominion of tyranny? You, whose kind squabbles over scraps of territory, whose history reeks of war? What are you but savages with stolen machines? Hale's eyes burned. Yes, we fought each other. We clawed our way from fire and ruin, and we carry those scars openly. That's what makes us dangerous to you. We know what war costs. We know what it means to lose everything and keep fighting anyway. That's why you fear us. Not because of our fleets, not because of our weapons, but because we refuse to die quietly. For the first time, voices of dissent rose from the chamber, not against Hale, but in his defense. A chittering insectoid delegate clacked its mandibles and said, The Dominion's reach has grown long indeed. Another, gelatinous and translucent, murmured, The evidence is troubling. Vaylon snapped, shards of light fracturing across his form. Lies! If you give them recognition, they will spread like plague. Humanity cannot be contained unless crushed now. Hale turned toward him, his words like iron. Try. You've already failed once. The chamber dissolved into chaos again. Shouts overlapped, banners flickered, translators hummed. But beneath it all, the echo of Hale's words lingered, defiant and unyielding. He placed one hand on the scorched steel, the other clenched at his side. His voice carried one last time, cutting through the noise. Humanity will not kneel. The council chamber buzzed with agitation, the air heavy with static from 100 conflicting voices. Delegates leaned forward in their thrones, alien eyes glimmering with suspicion or contempt. The council speaker pulsed golden light in an attempt to restore order, but the uproar drowned even its amplified resonance. General Marcus Hale stood alone at the dais, motionless as the storm of voices raged around him. He had faced artillery barrages that shook the sky, but this, being judged by civilizations older than his species' written history, felt like another battlefield. The difference was that here, his weapon was not steel, but words. Finally, the speaker's voice cut through. Order will be restored. Delegates will remain silent until recognized. The hall quieted, though tensions still vibrated in the air. Chancellor Vaylon stepped forward, crystalline limbs gleaming with restrained fury. His voice rang sharp as fractured glass. Behold the human talent for deception. They twist truths into weapons, manufacturing evidence to mask their crimes. General Hale parades images and forged documents, but what does this prove? That humans are masters of propaganda. They are dangerous precisely because they thrive on lies. A ripple of agreement spread among the Dominion's allies. Several delegates struck the floor with claws or staffs in support. Hale's gaze swept them coldly. If you think these are lies, then you fear the truth. You watched those images. You heard those voices cut short by fire. Do you think I invented the screams of children? A murmur ran through the chamber. One delegate, a serpentine being whose scales shimmered with unease, whispered audibly. The voices sounded authentic. Vaylon snapped back. Authenticity can be manufactured. Humanity's history speaks louder than their claims. You fought endless wars on your own world. You scarred your planet with nuclear fire. Even now your colonies expand without restraint, provoking neighbors. Is this not the mark of a violent species? Hale's expression hardened, but he did not look away. Yes. We fought ourselves. We tore our world apart more than once. And we learned. Every scar on Earth is a lesson carved into our bones. That's why we understand the cost of war better than any of you who order fleets from safe thrones. We don't pretend war is noble. We know it's blood and ash. And because we know, we fight harder to protect what we have left. The words landed differently. Some delegates leaned back, contemplative, unsettled. Others hissed in disdain. A delegate with wings of translucent membrane rose, addressing Hale directly. If you speak truth, human, then answer this. Why did your soldiers execute Dominion captives during the New Avalon counterstrike? At once, Vaylon's crystals blazed. He raised a clawed hand, and a hollow projector flared to life. Grainy footage filled the chamber. Terran Marines dragging Zorati raiders into the dirt, rifles raised. The next frame showed flashes, executions, bodies crumpling. A hiss of shock spread across the chamber. There! Vaylon roared. Savages reveling in slaughter. They cannot be reasoned with. Only eradicated. The speaker's glow dimmed as if recoiling. General Hale, do you deny this footage? Hale did not. He stood firm, shoulders squared, voice low and steady. No. I will not insult you with denial. The footage is real. Those were my soldiers. The hall erupted again. Cries of outrage, calls for sanctions, demands for extermination. But Hale's voice cut through, grim and unflinching. You want to know why it happened? Because those captives slaughtered civilians. Because they burned shelters with families inside. When we pulled them from the ruins, they laughed. My soldiers saw the bodies of their own families still smoldering behind them. And in that moment, mercy was more than they could give. You call it savagery. I call it grief made flesh. For the first time, silence held. Even Vaylon faltered, light dimming slightly in his crystalline body. Hale's voice deepened. Do I condone it? No. Do I understand it? Yes. We're not machines. We bleed, we break, and sometimes we fall to rage. But unlike you, we admit our failures. We don't dress up slaughter with words like sanction or cleansing. We face what we've done, and we carry it. That's what makes us human. An insectoid queen shifted uneasily on her throne, mandibles clicking. The Dominion has cleansed many worlds in the name of order, she muttered, almost to herself. Other delegates stirred. A spindly creature of mist and light leaned forward. Perhaps the human speaks a truth we ignore. Perhaps their danger is not deceit, but honesty. Vaylon struck the floor with one crystalline limb, sending a sharp crack echoing across the chamber. You dare suggest these vermin are worthy of recognition? If humanity is allowed a voice, they will spread their chaos to every corner of the galaxy. They must be crushed now, before they grow beyond control. Hale turned toward him, meeting his crystalline glare with calm defiance. You're right about one thing. We are dangerous. Not because we want conquest, not because we seek empire, but because we refuse to be erased. You fear us because where others would break, we endure. Where others bow, we stand. The chamber stirred again. Words rippled through the tears, soft at first, then louder. They endure, they stand, resilient. Vaylon sensed control slipping. His form pulsed with frantic light. This is manipulation. Do not be deceived by their theatrics. Vote now, declare them rogue before it is too late. But the speaker hesitated, golden filaments flickering. The chamber is divided. This council must weigh carefully. Extermination cannot be decreed without consensus. Vaylon turned, voice shrill and cracking. Consensus? While they breed defiance in our halls? Every moment we delay strengthens them. Hale took one step forward, placing his hand on the scorched steel plate he had brought. His voice carried like a blade. You call us dangerous. Good. Remember that when you consider erasing us. Remember it when you look at this steel. Because if you try again, humanity will not just endure. We will resist. We will fight back until even the stars remember us. The chamber's uproar returned, but it was different now, no longer unanimous against him, no longer certain. For the first time, the council was fractured. And Hale, standing alone on the dais, allowed himself the faintest trace of a smile. The council chamber had become a storm. Voices clashed like weapons, each delegate raising their own banners of outrage or support. Some shouted for extermination, others for restraint. Banners flickered as translation nodes strained to keep pace with the overlapping fury. General Marcus Hale stood unmoving at the dais, his shadow long under the chamber lights. He had learned long ago that sometimes the most powerful move on a battlefield was stillness. Let them rage, he thought. Let them reveal their fear. When at last the speaker forced silence with a piercing pulse of golden light, Hale raised his head and met Chancellor Valon's crystalline gaze across the chamber. You call us dangerous, Hale said, voice steady, carrying across the vast hall. You're right. We are dangerous. But not to the innocent, not to those who want peace. We are dangerous to tyrants, to slavers, to those who believe they can erase us without consequence. Murmurs stirred through the tiers. Hale pressed on before hesitation could settle. Chancellor Valon claims our evidence is forged. Then let the council hear witnesses not bound to humanity. He activated his wrist node. Holograms flickered to life above the dais, revealing the images of alien traders, gray-skinned wanderers from neutral worlds, their testimonies recorded weeks before. Their voices filled the chamber. We saw the Zorati fleet open fire first. They did not issue warning. Civilian transports were destroyed before they could leave orbit. The Dominion's warships came to cleanse, not defend. The murmurs grew louder, breaking into audible gasps and cries. Delegates shifted in their seats, many now staring at Valon with suspicion. The Chancellor's crystalline body blazed with inner fire. Liars! Paid off by human coin! Their words are meaningless. Hale's gaze narrowed. You dismiss every truth that doesn't serve your power. But truth doesn't vanish because you call it a lie. It endures, just as we endure. He turned his attention outward, to the rows of alien delegates. I want you to look at what the Dominion has done. Not to us. Look to your own histories. How many of your worlds were crushed under their fleets? How many of your people silenced in the name of order? Humanity is not their first victim. But we may be the last that stands against them. Silence lingered, heavy and uneasy. For some, Hale's words opened old wounds they preferred buried. For others, it was confirmation of whispered suspicions long ignored. Valon slammed a crystalline limb against the floor, sending a sharp crack through the hall. His voice rose, frayed with barely contained fury. Do not let him poison you with rhetoric. Humanity will bring nothing but fire and ruin to this council. They must be eradicated before their chaos infects us all. Hale bent, lifting the scorched steel plate once more, the blackened surface gleaming under the chamber's lights. He held it high, his voice cutting sharp as a blade. This is not rhetoric. This is what you did. A children's shelter, burned until nothing but ash remained. And yet we are still here. Still breathing. Still fighting. His voice deepened, each word deliberate. You wanted us erased. Instead, you made us stronger. You gave us a reason to stand together. You made us remember that humanity's greatest weapon is not our fleets or our guns, it is the refusal to kneel. The chamber was silent, utterly still. Even the translation nodes seemed hesitant to break the weight of his declaration. Hale lowered the steel, his tone softening but gaining in resonance. Every one of you knows what it means to have a home. Soil you will not surrender, skies you will not see darkened by foreign fire. We are no different. We will protect our homes, just as you would protect yours. We will fight, not because we seek war, but because we will not be erased. And if you demand our extinction, then understand this, you will not destroy humanity. You will only forge us harder than before. A long pause followed, heavy and suffocating. Then, from the far tier, a thin, mist-born delegate rose. Its voice was quiet but clear. The Chancellor would have us believe fear justifies extermination. But I see only a people asking to live. Perhaps the danger lies not in humanity, but in those who fear them. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. The insected queen clicked her mandibles in a low, uneasy rhythm. The Dominion presses too often with cleansing flames, she said, and too few have spoken against them. The balance had shifted. Hale could feel it. He turned once more to Valon, whose body pulsed with frantic light. You wanted humanity's voice silenced, Hale said. But now you've shown the galaxy your fear. Not fear of what we've done, fear of what we might become. And that is your mistake. Because we will not vanish. We will not bow. We will fight back, and we will endure until the stars themselves fade. The chamber erupted, this time not in chaos, but in division. Some delegates shouted for extermination still, but many others demanded restraint, inquiry, recognition. The speaker's golden filaments flared desperately to restore order, but the tide had already turned. Finally, the speaker's amplified resonance filled the hall. This council cannot reach consensus. A tribunal will be convened. Until then, all hostilities between the Dominion and humanity are to cease under council mandate. The declaration hung heavy, not victory, not defeat, but survival. For humanity, that was enough. Valon's crystalline body flickered with rage, shards of light scattering like sparks from a fire. This is not finished, human. You will regret the day you defied me. Hale's gaze was steady, voice low, dangerous in its calm. We already regret the day you came to New Avalon. The rest is on you. He stepped down from the dais. Every eye followed him as he crossed the floor, the scorched steel plates still under his arm. He did not bow to the speaker, nor glance at the hostile delegates. His stride was measured, unbroken. At the chamber's threshold, he paused, speaking only loud enough for himself, though the chamber carried the words. We didn't come here to beg. We came to remind them. Humanity fights back. And with that, General Marcus Hale left the hall, leaving silence in his wake, and a galaxy no longer certain of its own order.